None. We'll go to the minutes of the February 24th, 2016 meeting. They're pretty in-depth.
I wasn't here, but I read the minutes, so I feel like I was here.
A lot there. I will move on that minutes as presented.
Motion by Commissioner Nevenin,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pavlik to approve the minutes of February 24th. Discussion on the motion or the minutes.
My statement was a compliment to Tyra.
You didn't miss anything. You read all those minutes.
She made us look good in spite of herself.
That's right. No discussion with regard to the motion. The chair will call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion is carried and minutes are approved. Thank you. Go to the financial statement. Let's see, we have K&K Myers bill of $754.50, and then we have a number of bills that total up to $69,036 with that $74.50 added in there. Those that have been paid previously were $3,134.58. In the Minnesota Power, $3,825.43. We had, go ahead.
I'm just curious what the 754 edition
That was this one over here for K&K Myers.
is. That's game, okay, I got it.
I'm not sure what did we have? Was it one of the doors out there?
Yeah, actually,
Garage
garage
doors.
doors and security doors.
Okay. Usually it's a garage door that fails out there. They go up and down a number of times. We have profit and loss. We have income, $140,000 from the state, $285,000 from the city. Airline rent of $2,817, and rents and other leases $3,000. So total income for February of $437,685. We have expenses then of $157,811, leaving a balance of $279,873. Questions with regard to the bills, any of the bills, or the financial statement? Please.
For M&B companies,
Yeah, broom packs for the large broom.
Starting to clean up the winter sand.
Yeah, that's, we use the same composite for both snow and sand, so you have the combination.
Any more wolf deer encounters?
Not recent.
Mr. Chair,
Cover classic.
can I make a comment about the financials?
Are you on the media, or are you here as a...
I'm here as a city council representative.
Well, I think you're acting as a media today.
Oh, no, I'm acting as two. I can be two. Women can do more than one thing at one time. So,
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
we would then be breaking a quorum and acting illegally, in my opinion.
all right, I'm here as a citizen then.
Now, if you're gonna speak, I'm gonna leave, so it's up to you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that the balance sheet I think would be helpful to the airport commission if the operating cash was known to the members of the commission. You've got your grant receipts and your grant loans mixed up with your operating cash. So right now you don't really know how much operating cash you have. And I don't know, I mentioned that at a city council meeting, but I was hoping that, that would have been relayed to the airport commission.
Thank you for your comment. Pleasure with the invoices and the financial statement.
move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner McBride, second by Commissioner Briggs, to approve the invoices and the financial statement. Discussion with regard to either of those. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Invoices are approved. Financial statement is accepted. Thank you. Is Commissioner Pavlik going to come back?
You got him? Okay.
You looked right, I just went. I love what can read.
Oh, that's I'm looking out the window, watching the truck, watching the support truck. There's somebody there.
I have, not typically. So I know we're going to have a LASAC meeting at the same time. So, Commissioner must have went a long ways.
I think we scared him away. I don't know where he went.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to the engineer's report and start with Bob.
Maybe start with Bob to do the terminal.
On a terminal update, Bob?
I'm here.
Okay,
Just a few things, I guess, on the terminal. We are going to be opening bids on April 6th, which is next Wednesday. We will have an addendum going out to the plans hopefully tomorrow, and that will be for the lab dump for SkyWest, as well as some modifications to the temporary structure to accommodate the needs of DGS. The second bid package is going to be, Kyra, I'm not sure if Steve has been coordinating with you or not on that yet, but it's supposed to be advertised in the paper tomorrow. And then a second advertisement on the April 20th with bid openings on May 4th. And the second bid package will be for mechanical, electrical, and exterior enclosure. We've been doing some additional coordination with SkyWest, TSA, DGS, and Delta, and Bob and Thor have been involved intimately in those discussions. That's kind of the update. The funding for the project, federal funding, has now been extended through July 15th. So there still is not a full year's program, so we have access to, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's approximately 70% of the federal entitlement dollars are available at this time. And that still should be okay for us since we're not looking to start the project until the beginning of July, and by the 15th they'll have to do another extension, which should be for the full year. And in talking with the FAA, the federal discretionary funds for the project, what they're telling me is that it continues to look positive. So that's good. That's really it.
Can you add a little bit more, Bob, on this lab dump for SkyWest? And do we have a estimate with regard to what we think that addendum is going to add to the project?
We don't have an estimate for it yet. As I said, we've got the lab dump and the temporary structure. What we have to do, the lab dump will be, it's a location for SkyWest to take the contents from the bathroom, from the plane, put them into a honey wagon, move them over to the lab dump, and that connects directly to the sanitary sewer. So the location that we've determined in working with Thor is right next to the ARF building in the grassy area, and there will be a connection then back to the sanitary sewer at that point. And then it doesn't require any water, but if there's any spill or anything, there will be water available that is already in the ARF building. So we would access that if needed. And then the temporary structure, we're looking at going out onto the apron. I believe it's an additional 25 feet or so. So both of those combined, Bob, I'm not sure. It might add, $50,000 to $75,000 is my guess, but it might be more than that. And I haven't asked Steve from Kraus Anderson to estimate them yet. In fact, they haven't. Neither one have truly been designed yet, so they're going to be designed here shortly to get into the addendum here for tomorrow.
And that's to be able to have the plane, they're emptied
Correct.
of any effluent.
Right, and recharge there also.
And then the temporary structure is both for the baggage carts and the tugs
Yeah.
that are used.
Yeah, so the temporary structure would accommodate, there's 2 tugs and a GPU unit, a ground power unit that's used by the aircraft, so those would be able to be stored in this temporary structure, as well as a location to bring the bags in. It essentially functions as the baggage garage area now, but it's smaller. And also the additional storage that SkyWest has. They have a lot of lockers and other pieces of equipment or things that they're storing to service the aircraft. So that's what it would be used for. They would not be able to get both baggage carts into the area, but I believe one baggage cart would be able to be hand pushed in for overnight storage. I did talk with Todd at DGS, and he said that would work for his purposes. And then had a conversation with SkyWest yesterday, and Thor, they said they were going to be reaching out to you. I'm not sure if they did yesterday or not. If not yesterday, there'll probably be sometime today.
Okay.
Commissioner Nevenin.
Bob, is that a result of the terminal pre-bid meeting where you guys were on the ground out there and actually walked through some of the operations piece of this? Is that where this kind of grew out of?
Yeah. So where it went was we originally had the temporary structure designed, and we had a conversation with SkyWest originally, and they requested that it be removed from the project and that the tugs could be stored outside, and there was no problem with that. And there was a disconnect, on my part, that I didn't realize that DGS was a separate company. I thought DGS was under SkyWest. And there still is some confusion as to who holds the contract with DGS. The Delta officials aren't sure if it's them, or SkyWest isn't sure if it's them either. But the bottom line is that we need to keep the baggage moving, and if the tugs don't start, for whatever reason, because of cold weather, or they're covered with snow, we can't get bags moved, and that interrupts the flights, and, so that's the bottom line, that we need to keep moving.
Commissioner McBride.
Bob, just with the meeting, I guess, with last week or so, I guess one of my surprise and concern was, one of the reasons we did this whole bidding package the way we did was possibly for some local bidders, but there was I guess, kind of a lack of maybe local interest.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of folks who showed up. Kraus Anderson was going to reach out to some of the other folks, so they've had a lot of interest in the project. And last time I talked to Steve, he hadn't reached out to anybody, but that was last week. So there's a lot of expressed interest, but you're right. There weren't a lot of people who showed up at the pre-construction meeting.
Further questions for Bob on the terminal update? And how long will the temporary structure be in use, Bob?
Well, it'll be in use until SkyWest moves over to the new terminal. So it'll be, and that construction is scheduled to last 12 months.
So about 1 year we'll need to use that?
About 1 year, yeah.
Okay. Further questions? All right, we look forward to the bid opening on April the 6th and May the 4th and see what happens. Commissioner Flag.
Bob, where's that opening going to be at?
It's going to be at the City Council Chambers.
City Council Chambers on April the 6th.
Okay.
At 2 p.m.?
PM, yep.
Okay. Okay. Anything further? Thank you, Bob.
Yes, thank you.
We'll move to the entitlement transfer from OR.
Yep, I can talk about that. When we were up here last month, I mentioned that we were negotiating an entitlement transfer agreement from OR to International Falls that would essentially cover all the costs associated with the pavement rehab project. So really what we have is basically it's they call it a gentleman's agreement. It's something the FAA requires that says OR is going to give the money to International Falls for repayment in a later date. And arbitrarily, we signed 2018 for that repayment. We work with the city of OR. They have a very light CIP. Their runway was just reconstructed a few years back. I'm anticipating that come 2018, they probably won't have anything on their CIP that needs to be done. So it'll likely be an extension of that 2018 or a gift at that time, and we'll negotiate in 2018 when that date comes. But for now, it's $252,355 of OR's fiscal year 2016 entitlement dollars that will be given to International Falls, to the airport to do the pavement rehab project. And so the one document that I have, I'll leave with Kyra for Bob to sign afterwards, is basically that gentleman's agreement.
I think we moved at the last meeting on that.
You did on the transfer, so
Yeah,
this is
the
just the final paperwork.
So we just need to sign it.
Just need to sign that, yep. And that's the only document that you need to sign, or is working on all the FAA paperwork that basically they're allowing the FAA to transfer it to your account.
Okay.
Move the board chair.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner McBride to have the board chair sign the agreement with OR. Second by Commissioner Nevenin. Discussion on the motion for the transfer of funds. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion is carried and paperwork will be signed. Thank you. Further, Benita.
Not for that, the entitlement transfer, but I'm gonna let Sean speak about the pavement rehab project.
Okay.
So
Rehab.
yeah, so with that, maybe to take a step back, working with Tracy Schmidt at the FAA, we have two projects this year, the terminal project and then the pavement rehab project. Tracy has indicated that approaching this project as its own separate grant is the best approach.
Okay.
And that's a good thing. I think it's unfortunate for Kyra, she'll have another grant to worry about. But if you tied it in with the terminal project, you would have to be working with this project for the next 3 years, whereas this project, we should be able to get in and out and close the grant out right away. So it should be a fairly straightforward grant. So with that, we're trying to move a little bit more quickly on that to get the grant paperwork into the FAA, and they can start processing that. And that, I think, affects Bob's terminal piece on how that discretionary grant works. So kind of a lot of moving parts on how that works. But that being said, working with Thor and the staff out there, we've taken a look at the pavements, and we feel more of a pavement crack joint sealing project would be in order this year. The traditional crack repair that we've done in the past, which would be like a mill and fill operation, is expensive, and we're hoping to get more maintenance dollars for the bonds. So this year we're going to do more of a crack seal, joint seal, crack repair type project, and we're hoping to. We have our design proposal today. We'd also like to seek permission to advertise, so that way we can expedite getting those bids in and getting that grant submitted. So before I get into the proposal, do you have any questions on the project or?
I guess the one question I have would be with regard to the finances. On the $252,000 that we're getting from OR, is that money that they already has been allocated by the Congress and approved by the Congress, or are we at the 70% level with that also?
It's at the 70% level. Also, I think they're only giving 70% of your total amount, but it's added to your pot per se, so you can get 70% of all of your dollars. So it shouldn't hold up your grant.
In indications, if we could submit this grant by the end of May, we're hoping to have the actual grant, pending any FAA setbacks. You never know what will happen there, but hopefully by July, we should have this piece in order as well. So.
And on the crack and seal, we're looking at any downtime on the runway?
No, I think we can work around commercial traffic and different larger GA traffic that would be coming in. It's an operation that you can just clear the runway and allow the runway open for arriving traffic. So, we'll talk to Thor on scheduling and operations. It could be a combination of night work, but we'll definitely work around the commercial operations as well as any scheduled GA traffic, or especially international traffic.
If I can add to that too, Bob, the product that we're proposing it's called a mastic, and it's a more viscous asphaltic material with sand in it, and it sets up really, really fast. I mean, they basically have time to level it, and it's set. So, if there's an aircraft coming in, I mean, they could literally be doing the work 20 minutes before that aircraft arrives, and when the aircraft comes there, it'll be set up and nice and hard. And it's a good product for larger cracks. It's not your standard seal that you'd see on a roadway. It's a good product because it is more viscous, and it also has a little bit more of a structural element to it. So even, you'll notice that some of the general crack seal that we would do, some of that material can sink down into the crack a little bit, and you still end up with a little bit of a crack showing. This actually smooths out and lasts a little bit longer and provides more of that structural element.
So we think we'll get another year or two out of the runway before we have to do a major...
Yeah, we're hoping. It looks good, and having landed on it just today, it looks good, although we know that we tend to see a little bit more when the ground thaws, and so we'll continue to coordinate with Thor just in case anything pops up here in the next month or so. But yeah, the goal is to get it through till the terminal's done, and then seek a more substantial reconstruction for the project.
So we're looking at 2018 to maybe start...
Yep, that's the goal.
Remind me, what are we looking at for a time frame on the sealing project?
On the what?
How long of a time frame are we looking at for this project?
Oh, in terms of the construction?
Yeah.
Just probably a few days.
The mastic takes a little bit longer to apply. I would say it's going to be a week. Yeah, obviously weather dependent. It does string out to the next week.
And the goal with doing it this way without having the bituminous a part of it is you're going to get a crack seal contractor, which, you'll get like a Strucken Irwin or a Farner or somebody where that's all they do, which will be helpful in terms of getting the project scheduled, because we've had difficulty with that in the past. with the two operations.
Is it confined just to the runway, or is any place else in the airfield that it's going to be?
I'll let Sean.
Yeah, we have, working with the FAA, we've have clearance to do crack sealing all over the airside pavement, so apron, taxiway, and both runways. I think we're gonna try to prioritize the best value on, the worst cracks and what we feel is the priority. But, yeah, we have the license to do the entire report.
Okay, further, Sean?
So with that, I guess if there's no more questions, I would like to present a design proposal that with Kyra, $8,400. That would include site inspection, which we've actually already done. It would also include preparing of the project documents, plans, specifications, coordination for advertisement for bids, attending the bid opening, and contract recommendation. So all those things, we're hoping to, again, look for that mid-May bid opening and have everything wrapped up.
And so this would be an addendum to your contract, or is it just a separate contract for 8,400?
I've set this one up as a standalone contract,
Standalone, okay.
so it'd be, its original contract for $8,400.
Okay. Chair would accept a motion to approve the contract with SEH for $8,400 for the crack and seal project for 2016 on the airport runway and taxiways. Motion by Commissioner Nevenin to approve the contract. Second by Commissioner Briggs. Discussion of the motion or the contract. Commissioner McBride.
I know, Sean, this year the county has quite aggressive highway projects and repaving, and I think the city has some too, but this will be a different type than what a normal overlay would be.
Right, yeah. What we found is the work we've done in the past with the pavement work is tedious. It's, with the type of milling and filling operations and the schedule constraints, a lot of the contractors don't like that work or don't bid that work. We ended up with usually one contractor that would bid it, and the prices consistently over the last few years have gone up. So I guess to answer your question, I don't know if the work in the city would reflect on bid prices for the airport work.
Although bid prices so far look very favorable,
Okay.
for highway type work.
Does this take a special contractor to do this kind of work? Not the normal bituminous surfacing?
Right, this would be more of a, as Benita mentioned, more of a crack sealing contractor. Although a lot of the big time contractors would do this type of work. Anderson Brothers, if you're familiar with them out of Brainerd, they have a whole outfit that does crack sealing work. Farner, Struck and Irwin are they're reputable companies that do that kind of work.
Okay, very good. Further questions for Sean with regard to the contract? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the contract with SEH at $8,400 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. The contract is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we need to advertise for bids.
Right, since we're moving quickly.
Yep.
Since I've been designing the project for about a minute here. We'd like to seek permission for advertisement for bids in order to continue that going so we can get bids for the project and get that grant submittal in a timely manner. This is a fairly straightforward project, so it's a matter of putting together some the plan set and drawings and getting that advertised and then published. So we're looking at mid-May for a bid opening. I don't have a specific date. We'll work with Kyra's schedule to work that specific date and time. But with that, it would be permission to advertise for this project.
With a mid-May opening, so you'll determine the exact date?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we'll work with Kyra on finding a suitable time. We may try to line it up. I know the terminal project, the openings are early May and I think early June, so I don't know if that'll work, but most likely be a Thursday at 2.
Maybe even the May 4th deadline for that second bid package.
Yeah, we can maybe try
that
that
might,
real quickly.
I
yeah.
think within a month?
Yeah, maybe we might try to do that. That would be an
Okay.
opportunity to coordinate those together.
Yeah.
All right, so a motion would be in order then to advertise the crack and seal project for the International Falls International Airport for 2016 with a May opening, bid opening.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Briggs. Second by Commissioner Nevin. Discussion on the motion or the advertisement for bids. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the advertising for bids for the track and field, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion is carried, and advertisement will be put forth, and the bids will be opened in May
Thank you.
2016. Thank you. Further under engineers report.
Not for me.
Maybe one last update on the last year's project, was the guidance sign replacement project.
Oh, yes, we still should be able to start putting signs in another few weeks, shouldn't we?
The signs have been ordered, so I think it's a matter of them just showing up and conditions allowing installation of the signs. So we should see that probably within a month or two.
And that'll be the new lighted signs?
Correct. Yep, guidance signs would be all the directional signs on the taxiways, the hold short signs going out to the runway, and then the runway distance remaining signs along the edge of the runway.
And that's those are LED lights?
Correct.
And will we should see some reduction in the cost of electricity?
It is pretty substantial. I guess I'm not privy to the electrical bill, but hopefully there'll be some cost savings that's recognized.
Probably won't see it that much in the summer, but in the winter when we get into longer days, or longer nights, could see some difference there.
Maintenance costs are just not.
And maintenance, yeah, the life of those lights are so much longer, so you're not out there changing lights. Very good, so that should be happening in April and May.
I believe so, yep.
Very good.
And then with that was the regulator change order. We discussed that at the last meeting. Still working with the FAA on that. I haven't heard a determination yet, but hopefully we'll have that change order for next meeting.
That's the regulator that NDOT found us.
That was we're still running relatively jerry-rigged.
Okay.
And so it's important to keep your relatively.
Equipment is aging. Okay, further under engineering.
No, thank you.
Thank you. We have nothing under old business. We'll move to new business, and we have the Minnesota Airports Conference. Flyer is in your packet. That is at Brainerd, at Madden Conference Center. And along with the MCOA meeting will be the Local Airline Service Action Committee meeting will be on Wednesday. Also, the not sure the president or the executive director of the Metropolitan Airports Commission, Jeff Hamill, will be. This will be his last conference. He's been leading the MAC for about 30 years, and he's going to be replaced by Brian Ricks, very well known. Brian was at St. Cloud and at Duluth, and presently is at Grand Rapids, Michigan, but he has been named the CEO of the Metropolitan Airports Commission. So hopefully he'll be at the conference also. So a motion to approve expenses for airport commissioners and manager to attend that conference.
Move.
Motion by Commissioner McBride.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Briggs. Discussion on the motion of the conference. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the conference expenses signify by saying aye.
Right.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion is carried, and conference expenses are approved for the MCOA conference in April. Thank you. Anything else under new business? Not, we'll go to the manager's report.
Regarding Hamill's retirement, I talked with Jeff last week, and he'll be missed. Definitively made a big impact on not only Minnesota aviation, but literally global aviation. And as you know, Brian will do great work there also. also, so, and Jeff said he could be at the conference.
And I think to add to Thor's comments there about Jeff Hamill, he has been a great friend of the rural airports, or the outstate airports, however you want to term them. He has certainly worked with us on many issues, and has been very supportive of air service from our airports to the MAC.
As you know, UMAC, who was his predecessor, groomed him. He took him under his wing, and they were inseparable. And there's no question that I have total confidence in Brian's ability there, but those are huge shoes. He's a rare gem, no question about it. So we'll miss him.
He has been a great leader in airports throughout the world, as you said. And Brian, having come through a couple of regional airports, is going to be very, very helpful for us too.
Other than that, I'm thankful that we're getting through the snow season. The last big snowy event was actually semi-pleasurable, because you know it's going to melt, it's not going to stay. Ice control issues. So we try to do what we call sod control. We call it divoting in these late snowfalls. And of course, with the large trucks, if you waver off your track off the asphalt, you just need to take up about 6 yards of beautiful sod, which we replace. But that's no words, we'll be heavy. But no, other than that, I appreciate everybody's hard work on these projects. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and SEH has been just wonderful. Bob, you still on the phone?
I'm still here, yeah?
Yeah, and I must say, credit to Coors and the recent events, working with, at the last pre-bid meeting we went there, Bob did great work. He kind of got beat up on all sides about the need of this additional structure for covering your ground equipment. And thank you, Bob, for that work, because that was really tough, and you're still kind of in the middle of that, of the Delta/SkyWest DGS conversation, so I thank you for that. That's not an easy job. But other than that, we're definitely looking forward to more sunshine and snow.
And the equipment now, I know that you're replacing brooms all the time on that unit, but how is the rest of the equipment faring from the winter?
It's holding up. It's constant maintenance, no problems. You just it breaks and fix it. And the more modern equipment, you actually fix more because of all the electronics and all the sensors.
How did the winter go with the new piece of equipment? Your skid steer.
Yeah, very, very well. We'll utilize that a lot. We've used it a lot, but we'll use it more into the season. So we'll start our fence line cutting after the meeting comes up, and it reminds me the next conversation, next meeting, about the need of spraying, fence line spraying. So I'll put that on the agenda for next month's meeting. So.
Commissioner McBride.
I think it was a couple months ago, didn't we have some issues with payment on the skid steer? Did we get that all straightened out?
Yep,
We did.
Yep.
With the grant and?
Yep.
Oh, we didn't get any grant. We ended up financing that locally. We were not eligible under the state.
If I may, and I'm jumping ahead with my own mental notes, information of the commission, the Stormwood Equipment Building, which happened when we built the building originally, we had pulled phone lines and data lines into that building. And through a series of events, through parking lot extension / change on 2nd Avenue East and what have you, some of those lines have been severed or broke or frost and what have you, so we can't access. We have a dead zone between the SRE building and basically Mid-Continent's hookup, which is at an angle up to 2nd Avenue East to the northeast. So I highly recommend that after we get into the frost-free season, to contact Midco and we pull / replace phone data line into that area. We don't have access there, and it's really a shame, because we have the inside of the building is prepared for it. The stanchion, the Midco stanchion is near 2nd Avenue East, and they can do the work. I'm assuming it'll be relatively expensive project.
Did they bury that about a foot down?
Yeah, it would be, yeah, exactly.
So that cable would come from Second Avenue over to the SRE.
That is correct, and I'm sure we can circumnavigate. Do it in 2 weeks. Other than that, thank you. Just,
Okay, questions for the airport manager? Thank you, Thor. Good report. Go to the secretary's report.
Grant tracking is in the packet there. As noted, there were some grant funds that were received last month. I sent in quite a few credit apps. I received our M&O grant finally, so I sent in our first quarter and second quarter grant claims for the M&O grant. With that grant, there was a lot more items that we were able to claim, so I had to go back and I spent quite a bit of time on that grant, pulling additional claims and getting things verified, documentation and whatnot, because they want to make sure that we're claiming everything. Even if after we've surpassed the amount that is claimable, they want everything claimed, so they can better gauge of where each airport is spending for maintenance and operations. So I took care of that one. We received our marketing grant last week. I submitted a claim for that, for our first quarter in the amount of $5,514, which that's a 70/30 payback. And then, I was working with Chris at SCH to close out our 2013 grant. It looked like there was still some funds left on the table from that, so I had submitted a credit application for that one as well, of roughly $40,000 for that.
Terrific. Very good.
Next, employment record, there in the packet, I contacted Sun Country and I was able to get information on the employments for last year, and then I will continue to track as those charter flights come in. And I broke those out separately from SkyWest so that we can see where things were at more accurately. Marketing, there, I just put that update in there so you can see where we're at for our marketing and what's left for budgeting and everything. And then lastly, I was working with Arlette Abramson with the Minnesota PTAC, the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, in regards to getting our SAM registration up to date. In the past, it had stated that we were federal assistance only, and in order to get some other money from CSA and other federal agencies, we needed to have that state being all awards. So I had to go through the process and get that SAM's registration updated and get that to be stated all awards so we can be
Right,
ready.
for all that.
Yep, yep.
Very
So
good.
That was about it. Oh, one other thing there was I put a copy of an email in there, from Laura Manka that, she had some questions in regards to, the last meeting, so.
I'll chat with her and
Yeah, sounds as though Avis or the cab company, are they moving their cars up to the curb again, or?
yes,
Or is it-
there's a constant, turf would give an adult sound to it. Yes. Allow them to,
In the smoker situation, they figured out anything different there?
well, what's happening now is that in looking at moving, as we discussed, to the east, there's pushback from a certain individual moving as we discussed, moving it to the east. That will not satisfy. So we'll have to, I'll take care of it. I'll make sure that
Okay.
I'll get it. This time we'll get it. Thank you.
Okay, questions for Secretary? I guess, I'm not sure if it goes to you or to Thor, but where are we with regard to our wildlife hazard assessment.
Yes, he's probably 70-80% through the process, and dealing with the FAA, because it's, in FAA terms, it's a relatively new, a new requirement, and they're learning from other airports that are doing this, just all the details that are included in it, and I'm confident that by the end of the summer, we'll have one in hand.
Commissioner McBride.
In regards to that, is our providing lunch to the local wolf population affect that?
Yes, it
will.
Yes, the temple wolf is no longer with us. He has moved on to greener pastures.
Commissioner Nevin.
I just, again, want to commend Kyra on the work that she's doing, not only tracking this, and there's some complexity to this, but just helping with the cash flow and making sure that we don't leave any money on the table. And where you've taken this from where it was at is really a credit to the commendable.
Outstanding.
Well done.
It's
So,
outstanding.
thank you.
We have recovered more money in the past year than percentage-wise than we've ever have, so thank you. Kyra, it's great.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for the secretary? If not, we'll move to reports from members. Commissioner McBride.
Just a couple of short items. One last week was the meeting and greeting with Lieutenant Governor at the airport. I think they went very well, and thanks to everybody attended and spoke, and I think she was well received, and I think she was very happy with what went on. And the other item is County Road 108, which is the airport road. We had talks at one time of possibly approaching the county, maybe looking at abandoning the road. That is slated for possible resurface. Just kind of pleasure, or what are the thoughts of the commission? I drove that road yesterday, and I mean, it's a tough shape. It needs some work if it's going to continue. So I don't know if there's any plans right now on the back burner of the commission to move forward with any requests of the county.
I don't know that we would expand to the east right now with at least the next 5 years. I don't see that we've got anything that would take us there. I mean, that's just my personal assessment of it. I think if we were to look at a large hangar or something of that nature, you might want to take and close off that road, but that would take a process, and so would building a hangar, and I'm not sure where we would fund a hangar right now. We've got the terminal project and the runway both out there, and that's going to take the next 4 to 5 years.
And I think that discussion was going to happen. It would be quite a public process.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm sure that a lot of people would have interest in that road.
So I think,
But I would hate to put $100,000 or X amount of dollars into it, and then 2 years do away with this.
Yeah. No, I don't see anything. I don't see anything in the next 5 years unless Dora does.
When do you think that, when will that work be done?
Well, Joe approached the board and asked just our opinions on it, looking at this summer.
Oh, really?
But I'll get back with Joe and.
Like a recap or a total
Yeah, it
rebuild?
would just be probably a grind and a resurface.
I think if we were to do something, I would see the priority right now being to possibly purchase the property on the east side of 108 that there's a couple of private pieces there that could help. But I think you'd need to have that, and then you could take a look at taking the road out.
As in the past, the commission was discussing the purchase of the property at the end of Second Avenue East, where 108 begins in that corner, all of that area. That would be, I think, very helpful to the airport for the future.
We're not going to be eligible for federal, and I don't know whether we could count on any state funding, but the priority isn't there right now with these other projects. Whether that would be the first one, and if they come up for sale, I mean, we would have to take a look at going to the city and county about that right now.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner McBride. Commissioner Brick?
Just an FYI, the TGS group was awarded the Station of the Year for 2015.
Yes,
Terrific.
Yes, excellent.
And for our sized airport. And next Thursday, there will be some Delta officials coming to town to shake our hands, so to speak, and have breakfast with us.
Oh, great. Okay, very well done. Got a good crew up there.
Just
We
curious,
work hard.
how many people are in part of that crew?
There's about 12 of us.
Mr. Chairman, would it be in order for a formal thank you from the commission?
Yes.
So I would move that too.
Okay. Commissioner McBride moves a letter to the DGS group at Falls International Airport, congratulating them on a job well done and thanking them.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Nevin. Discussion on the motion or the letter. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the letter signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstain.
And one abstention, so carries 3-4 and one abstention. Thank you, good idea.
And if you were to go out there, you'll see that the whole office structure, the doors are fixed, got a whole new paint job, got the place pretty well spruced up for us.
Great. Further, Commissioner Briggs. Commissioner Nevin, I know that you and Thor did a call to Sky West, and I meant to ask Thor about that one also, so maybe the two of you could team up on your call to Sky West with regard to the schedule, because that's one of the items I want to bring up is our summer schedule. I still have people calling with great concern, and I'm wondering if what we might do as a second step here. I know that they assured us that we weren't going to lose, but I had an individual come to me yesterday and say that the Totem Lodge in Sioux Narrows and the Temple Bay Lodge up at Eagle River, that they are both going to Duluth with buses to pick up and are not going to be picking up at the Falls Airport. Now, that's just what I've been told. I don't know. I have not made a call to either of them. I'm wondering if you've got any contacts at either of those places that we might call.
I don't, but we can certainly dig.
But I think we need to follow up. If this person has got information that says that they're not going to be coming to the Falls because of that afternoon flight being as late as it is, they're going to go to Duluth to pick people up. We're going to lose in Plainlands. And as much as SkyWest can assure us that we're not going to see a downsizing, I think we've got to have better than that.
Our afternoon flight is moved to what?
The afternoon flight starting in June would move from 1 o'clock to 5 p.m.
5:45. Comes in at 5 and goes out at 5:45.
What time? Say the
5
time.
and 5:45.
So the plane would come in at 5 and depart at 5:40, so it's even later. I thought it was departing at 5.
It's essentially useless. That's my
Essentially
opinion.
useless, yes.
If I may.
Please.
Yeah,
Oh, please.
Well, I mean,
I don't mean to steal your
late
time.
departure,
Oh, no.
You're not getting into the cities till close to 7 o'clock, so anything going east, you're not gonna make it. So the only ones you're gonna hit are if you're going west.
And east and south is probably 80% of our traffic,
Right.
rather than west.
Go ahead. Paul, I didn't, I would have known, I would have had my notes, and I can see the notes, what they're on my desk, but overly simplified discussion, we talked to, would it be Michael VP of schedule. Anyway,
Michael Thompson.
Thompson, as I said. He did hear you right, I'm sorry. But from his perspective, and what his logic was as follows: that they're looking at banks of flights and flight availability at a noon/1 o'clock departure out of International Falls, versus the 5 p.m., 5:45 departure. And overly simplified, arbitrary numbers. What their theory is that actually there's no question it's later in the day, but the numbers he shared with us, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, that he gave us data that showed there's actually more flights and more banks available in a 2-hour time frame, yes, after the flight arrives from International Falls to Minneapolis.
So when it gets there at 6:45 or
As an
thereabouts,
example, right.
that they're supposed to still be about.
Right, so for the sake of the conversation, I mean, this is a pure
Yeah.
arbitrary number, yeah, this is it, so bear with me, these are not hard numbers. But it was a substantial difference, it was about a 30 to a 40%.
Basically, they look at the top 14 connections from INL to Minneapolis, where they go beyond that. And of those, this schedule would provide 83 connections versus 53
There.
given them. So they,
So 53 in the afternoon, but the
83 at night.
83 at night.
it kind of defies logic, but
Yes.
this is the way they look at the world. They said, we want you to be successful there, so we're not going to put you in a position where you're not going to be. But part of this, I think, is public relations too, and awareness on this. And there's no question it will affect some folks going east, but in their minds, and this is the way they look at it, and they have very smart people with looking at historical, connections. This is what they.
When we started the conversation off, we led with the concern that we thought they were setting themselves up purposely for failure, frankly, as we discussed as a group. And we asked the question pointedly, is that we at that point, before we have these numbers, and I'm not in agreement with SkyWest of what they say, how this is going to affect our market. I am saying that our concern was that, are you guys setting us up for failure? Do you want out? Is there an exit strategy? And he jumped hard, in my opinion. He was very adamant. Oh, no, we want to be International Falls. Very important to us. And of course, I was a great sigh of relief that, because they're looking at it at their contract ending January 31, 2017. And I said, I would feel comfortable if you would tell us that, oh, definitely. And of course, reminding the group, they just signed a contract with Hibbing for $2.8 million. And with us, that we're at 1.2, basically 1.1 some change. Clearly, SkyWest with EAS, obviously, they're very interested in, even I can do that math. 2.8, likely they're going to have a higher bid next time, to service us. It's pretty simple numbers. It's a substantial amount of money for the airline. So that was very good. That was fantastic. That was that part of the equation. I'm very, very thankful they're looking at the future. But back to the conversation, then the next step sequentially was the discussion about the scheduling. The question for the group is, and my personal thought process is still, my jury is still, I'm holding my thoughts on this, not my thoughts, but I haven't quite come to a conclusion of how good or bad this is. Mm-hmm. Is it a cultural thing, as Paul is sharing? Is it because for 40 plus years, the culture has always been International Falls / Southern Ontario, the way that the system is set up and the way the lodges are set up is, okay, you come under, you're going to arrive on this flight, you're going to stay X amount of days, we're going to get you back to International Falls for a 6 a.m. departure or a 1 p.m. departure, and that's the way the system has been set up, per se, for decades. And now, with SkyWest taking this 45-degree turn on scheduling, is the system not ready for that, per se? Because it's still a matter of time, correct? Theoretically, purely theoretical, if what he's saying is true, key term if he says that there is a 40%, or whatever that number is, there's actually more flights, if that is true, then if this whole thing is based on time, is it because the system is not, we're not coordinating, nobody's fault, but by design of how this has been going on for 40 years, the lodge mentality is they arrive for the sake of the conversation, we pick them up at 1 p.m. and we drop them off the next 5 days down the road at 10 p.m. and they get on the 6 a.m. flight, or we get them out of the camp at 6 a.m. and we get them to the airport by noon to get a 1 o'clock flight. I don't know. but it just seems interesting, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you get a sense that he really believes that this is supposed to help us? I mean, what my concern was that I thought maybe they'll reposition. In fact, we asked him this question: are you repositioning the aircraft somewhere else for utility? And his answer was flat no. We're trying to get more people on these airplanes.
The intent is to gain, he kept stressing.
That's what he kept saying.
I guess, again, I don't have any facts. I've got the name of two firms that are supposedly changing the way that they're gonna do business with Falls International Airport. I don't know that.
I bet
for a
they
fact.
are. Oh, I bet they are.
Well, and I think that we gotta sit down and call these two
Absolutely.
businesses and ask them.
Absolutely.
Because you see that Temple Bay bus in here practically every other day in the summertime. And if they're taking their people up the Eagle River, if they're gonna go to Duluth now and pick people up, we're gonna lose clients out of International Falls. So I think we gotta get some facts before we call them back and just say, we really believe we're gonna lose on this one. And, they said that afternoon at 1 o'clock that there's 53 flights, there's a bank of 53 flights that folks can catch. But at night, there's, if you get in there at 6:45 or 7 o'clock, there's 83 flights to catch. To me, if you get there at 1 o'clock, you've got both the 53 and the 83. And
That's
to
it, yeah.
me, you got 136.
Sure,
I mean,
sure, the
yeah,
layover.
you might spend 3 or 4 hours in the airport, but you're certainly going to have all of those flights to be able to choose from and get to your destination. So
And
further.
what was the weekend schedule going forward with some?
Well, the summer of 2015, we only had the 2 flights a day, even on the weekend. In the summer of 2014, they had added a flight on the weekend, and in our discussions in 2015, they said that they could not make it pay, that there just was still not enough traffic. And so, by contract, they have to give us 12 flights a week, and they were not going to add any more. I don't think they're going to add any more in 2016, the summer of 2016. I have not heard.
The weekend, no, Mike, no. There will be they're adding the week, the Saturday and Sunday, correct?
That's
Right,
my
yeah.
understanding.
But,
Yeah.
but then we will only have, during the middle of the week, 1 day or 2 days that we will only have 1 flight. Do you think they're
Did
adding?
you understand it that way, Paul? My understanding was it was 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's.
You think they're adding 2 flights?
Yeah, for 7 days.
That's what I want to confirm.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know
I'm
that.
pretty sure that was certainly my understanding.
That's my part. They were adding on weekends.
So you think they might be having 14 flights for the week instead of 12?
For sure, Saturdays
Because
and
under
Sundays.
contract, they're under contract for 12.
Well,
Or a couple of years ago, didn't we have that third flight? I mean, a lot of times on Tuesdays, because I know at the golf course, the flight would go at about 4 o'clock. Was that flight
Yeah,
used
that's,
well?
that third flight for the day.
Was that one, do we have any employment?
we had higher
Information on
employment
that?
numbers as a total than, remember at one point, one summer, we had 7 flights.
Yes.
7.
All right, Dan, you had a point?
Yes, I listened to the discussion here, and what this gentleman from SkyWest talked about with respect to the number of flights here under the new schedules there. What you really should look at, in my opinion, here is where are these customers going? In other words, first of all, obviously, they come up here in the summertime with the additional, do they come up from the west, or do they come up from the south? Right now, it looks to me like, and I really don't know because I haven't looked at it, it looks to me like it's a Chicago type of thing, because that's where the buses come from. And so a better market here and a higher end of the resort business would be talking about airline. I don't know what's west and what's southwest and what's in south, because I don't know the schedules here anymore. But the demand is generated here primarily, if I'm making a good assumption, from people that are vacationers here. There probably are some people that are visiting up here in this area, but I don't think that it comes even close to the people that are coming up here and trying to utilize the outdoors in some way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just add to
Commissioner
Thor's
Briggs.
comment about he thought the SkyWest, were they gonna try and pull out or whatever. I gotta believe that they wanna stay, because we've gotten word that they're gonna put A-cars in, which is a very expensive system. That what I've been told is that normally is where they got 9 flights a day in order to put it in, but they're indicated they're gonna put it in here. So they're gonna put that expensive system. I'm thinking that they do plan on staying around and wanna make it a viable destination.
Well, that's good to hear. And the assurance that they gave you that they want to be here and that they plan to continue the contract with.
He sounded very adamant, I would think, would be an accurate assessment. Paul, would you agree?
I would agree.
Well, I think thoughts on going forward. I mean, do we make a call to Temple Bay and Totem and see what they're saying? If they are in fact not going to be coming to Falls International, or going to go to Duluth to pick up, or telling their customers that coming to that resort to fly into Duluth, then I think we need to.
I think it's a
Go
good
back.
idea to contact them, but the questions I'd be asking is, well, what time are they getting into Duluth? Right? I mean, if they're not getting into Duluth till noon, 1 o'clock, and then they still got a 3-hour bus ride, well, what, you're only saving an hour or two by not coming into here.
United's got quite a bit of service up to Duluth
I
and
mean,
Chicago.
because I think you kind of hit it on the head, it's a culture thing. It's just a matter of people coming in at noon, well, they come in at 5. And really, a lot of them people are struggling to make the 1 o'clock flight, getting over here because of the bridge traffic and stuff, and a lot of them are missing their flights. That maybe that 5 o'clock time would work better so far as getting through customs and things like that too.
You gotta build 6 hours back into the equation, though. 3 go 3 back, unless they're flying, they're
Correct.
busing them in and then flying out of here. I don't know, that would be another
It can't be,
good thing to understand.
and to be, and I appreciate what Brian's saying, because this resort or these resorts may possibly be looking at that option, I've no doubt they aren't. But you think about the complexities, it's a very good point about the bus ride. That adds, that's a lot of detail and a lot of time. I mean,
And I know from when I came back from Alaska last summer, we left out of Duluth and came back to Duluth, and of course we landed in the cities at about 5:30 in the morning and sat in Minneapolis and didn't get into Duluth till 12:30. So I'm thinking unless they change their schedule, you're only getting into Duluth at 12:30 from the cities. So, looking at scheduling and buses and all that, I'm thinking they're not gonna save that much by going to Duluth rather than flying in here. It's just this culture thing that all of a sudden it blows them out of the air because, it's 5 hours difference or 6 hours difference than it used to be.
Yeah, and they have their check-in, check-out times, it probably gets confusing and.
All right, well, we'll get together and make a call to these resorts and see what we can gather in the way of information. It's probably getting to be a time when it's going to be difficult to make a change in schedules because
sure.
they probably have got equipment and pilot schedules and everything that we've got to have done months ahead of time, so. Further,
I think it would be helpful too for the public, maybe as part of our marketing, is to alert them of the schedule changes and try to allay some of these fears. To Mr. McCarthy's point, of the top 14 final destinations, a great many of them are in the Midwest: Chicago, primary one, Detroit, Nashville, Kansas City, and St. Louis. So they identified those as kind of primary destinations. One last thing, I would just echo Commissioner McBride's comment about the Lieutenant Governor's visit here. You know, it takes a lot to put these projects together. Obviously, we've got a good engineering team, we've got a good operations team, finances, obviously, and the whole process, but also the political side of this, which is sometimes appreciated. So I really appreciate the comments and the people that showed up for the Lieutenant Governor's visits.
well, we certainly need to thank Governor Dayton, Lieutenant Governor Tina Smith for their support for them to make the flight up here, and the Commissioner of Revenue to state that they're very supportive of this project and the infrastructure and what it means to Minnesota. We had discussions with the Commissioner of Revenue with regard to the value of the international designation that this airport carries, and being one of 4 in the state that's a port of entry. So he was very, very interested in that whole aspect of this airport. So saw a great deal of value in having Customs and Border Protection being part of the airport, and they would certainly help to sell that to the legislature. So very, very great to have their support. Further, Commissioner Nemenin, thank you. I think I've covered all the items that I have with regard to, I know, Bob, are you still with us?
Yep, I'm here.
And appreciate your work on the, I guess, parking area, the concrete expansion area, that has been going reasonably well with FAA. So I think that continue to make progress here. Anything further to come before the commission besides setting the next meeting?
Just one more thing.
Yes,
I
please.
Just make note that I like what Kyra's doing with the Sun Country reporting.
Yes.
And just to get it into the record that Sun Country just put another 154 people out on Sunday, and they do have another flight coming up next month.
They must have lost a couple of people that left in Laughlin, because they 160 got on, only 157 came back. So,
I'm sure they won the big money.
Yeah.
Like the guy that in the Las Vegas airport yesterday that won 993 million or 993,000
Really?
at McCarran
Change his light up.
at the airport.
So he's not going to be a resident of Nevada?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Just for kind of go to the order, but Benita was a local TV star last week. Could you just update a little bit what's happening at Duluth, what the discussion is?
Sure.
Just short.
Yeah, yeah, otherwise we'd be here for a long time. No, the situation in Duluth is we initiated their 3-phased approach for a runway reconstruction project, much like what we'll be doing here in a couple of years, with the initial center section to begin May and June of this year for the 60 days, and the runway would be shut down during that time frame. And there is a tenant on the airfield, AR, that does maintenance on Airbus 320s. Those particular aircraft, with the client that they have, they cannot land on the crosswind runway, which is only 5,700 feet with no ILS. So they cannot land because of their operational policies on the crosswind runway. They have approximately 300 people, and without being able to take those aircraft in to do maintenance, the facility is at risk of shutdown. So there is a lot of political negotiations right now to find out some type of compromise, to be able to let at least some part of that project move forward and still salvage the jobs that are at risk. So quite frankly, right now, we're unsure of how that project is gonna play out. We're inching closer and closer to the actual construction start, but there's certainly some negotiations that are going on right now to try to keep some part of that project intact.
Yeah, well, you know, they're unique there because of that facility and then the air yard also. I remember
Yeah.
when they did runway repairs back in the day, we had to move all the F-16s down to the cities for a period of time, so.
Yeah, that was the unique part about this project and the timing of it, is that the 148th is actually deployed during May and June. So we really wanted to try to get this part of the project done during that runway closure, because they were already going to be gone and you don't have to worry about the additional costs with relocation to Volk Field and some of these other places. So that's obviously weighing in on the decision too, as far as if the project is shifted in any way, shape, or form. And of course, now the 148th is required to relocate when that project actually takes place. So it's very fluid. There's a lot of things in play here, and should probably shake out over the next month or so.
And is that project, was it proposed to be a May and June project or a June and July project?
May and June, yeah. The deployment, I think, actually, Sean, I think they mentioned starts this upcoming month.
Yep, I think they're starting the deployment process mid-April.
Yeah.
They have planes coming down.
And it's anywhere from, well, they're talking about a 3-month deployment, but April is a little tough for construction in Duluth, as everybody would know. So we were shooting for the May and June to try to get the optimum weather conditions and allow for the most flights to come in on the Crescent runway.
Yeah, their normal deployment would be 3 months.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they've been telling us. So we really wanted to try to coordinate that closure to not impact those F-16s, because they do require 7,000 feet on a temporary condition and 8,000 feet for a permanent location.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
So the next meeting would be Wednesday, April 27th at 8 a.m. Just did everybody's schedule?
8 a.m.?
8 a.m. Hearing no challenges to that time, that meeting will be then, the next Airport Commission meeting would be Wednesday, April 27th at 8 a.m. There's nothing further to come before the commission this morning. Declare this meeting adjourned.